Welcome to Bronco Sports Chat. Today we're going to talk about fall sports and their spring practices. Stay tuned. Ball is thrown complete to Nate Polak. Touchdown, Hastings College Broncos.
He's a young guy getting in.
What a play! What? Dug out by Kenny. Ball's gonna be set up for Kabir. And this place going nuts!
Welcome back. I'm Nico Zarowski. Alongside me is Ross Struess, Sports Director for KFKX, and Gage Axford, Sports Editor for the Collegian. Joining us later will be Justice Stoles and Andy Butler.
So for our first topic tonight, we will be talking about men's soccer, who lost in the national title game this last year 3-2 to Lindsey Wilson, and looking forward to this next year. Gage, they've lost quite a few players on the team.
Yeah, you know, they lose their starting goalie, Cody Petit, Derek Prinz, their top defender, also gone. Ryan Robinson, Matt Wadley are all gone. And then you have Nate Polak, who was just recently drafted by the MLS, graduating as well. They're losing a lot.
Nate Polak was drafted by the New York Red Bulls in the MLS supplemental draft. Here's Kirk Orndorff with more.
And Robinson releasing Polak through on the through ball. Polak releases a shot and smashes it into the far right corner. 1-0 to Hastings College.
Nate Polak's run at Hastings College has come to an end. He was the 69th overall selection in the MLS draft taken by the New York Red Bulls. Hailing from Lincoln, his collegiate career started at Drake University, where he only played in 3 games before transferring on to Hastings. Polak saw plenty of playing time during his tenure at Hastings College, and he ranks 3rd in school history with 43 goals and 30 assists. These numbers saw Polak being named to the GPAC All-Conference team his junior and senior seasons. Polak is not alone, however. His current teammate Derek Prinz is currently trying out for the Colorado Rapids this week, and he joins his brother Tyler, who was drafted in the 2nd round by the New England Revolution. Another person Polak joins is former teammate Yannick Thiel. Thiel was a dominant force for the Broncos, tallying 99 career points in 88 career games. Thiel saw limited playing time in his first season in La Liga in Germany. In 21 games, Thiel had 3 goals and 1 assist. Both Polak and Thiel were vital pieces in the national championship run of 2010. In the 4 games Hastings College played in the national tournament, Polak had 4 goals and 3 assists, including 2 goals and an assist in the championship game. In the tournament, Thiel had 3 goals and 1 assist. Both players were named to the all-tournament team. Both guys seemed to think of the team first, as Thiel had such confidence in his teammates that he felt the Broncos' run was coming.
Sure, we've won 5 games, but it's not gotten us to the national tournament yet, so we're still at the beginning of something big.
No longer with Thiel, Polak's senior season also saw 18 goals scored, 17 assists, and 35 total points. These numbers earned him the honors of GPAC Offensive Player of the Year and 2 times being named NAIA's Offensive Player of the Week. Ultimately, this would lead him to become a first-team All-American. No matter what the numbers were, Polak has always thought it was the team that came first, as mentioned in this interview from September 20th of 2010.
Earlier this month, the men's soccer team beat Fresno Pacific 7-1. And in that game, junior Nate Polak scored an impressive 3 goals to give him GPAC Player of the Week.
It was obviously a good feeling having 3 goals, but when it comes down to it, it's just whatever our team can do and just coming out and trying to get a result, and whoever scores. That's what we're just out there trying to get some wins.
The Broncos' run in the 2011 national tournament came up just short, losing to Lindsey Wilson in overtime of the championship game. Polak did not find the back of the net at all in the tournament, but had 3 assists in those 4 games. His HC days ended with a crushing loss, but his next step is on to the New York Red Bulls of the MLS. When he gets there, Polak will be playing side-by-side with some of the game's greats, including 3-time English Premier League Footballer of the Year, Thierry Henry. Not bad for a kid from Lincoln who is still attending Hastings College.
Now you just saw a video detailing Nate Polak's collegiate career. For more on the significance of Nate Polak being drafted, we turn to Ross Struess and Justice Stoles.
Well, Nico, I think the first thing that it comes down to is Nate was really the first person from Hastings College to get drafted and really get a solid look from the MLS, Justice.
And that's an important thing, not just for Hastings College, but you have to look at the whole NAIA as a whole. It's steadily growing its name and its brand as it's become more and more competitive. And I think what Nate's done now for Hastings College in particular is made them a recruiting destination. In fact, there's a player on the team now from Green Bay, Wisconsin, that's a goalie that instead of going to Lindsey Wilson came to Hastings College. And so you look at all that, and we're bringing in recruits, we're getting in better players, but at the same time, we're getting them from Nebraska. And Nate's kind of showing the talent level in Nebraska, the talent level at Hastings, and the talent level at the NAIA.
I think something else you can point at a little bit more specifically for Nate himself is the fact that the Red Bulls aren't exactly a low-end program in the MLS. They're mid-range, the top level. Given MLS is not the Premier League, this isn't European soccer by any means, but he's going to a place where he's going to play with a former Premier League star in Thierry Henry Justice.
And that is important. And if you look at other professional soccer players that have come from Nebraska, Nate's little brother in particular, Tyler's up in New England with the Revolution. Jordan Green next year is a potential MLS draft, primary draft E. So, I mean, he's got a shot there. And I think if you look at that and you look at his partnership with Nate, Nate benefited from playing with Jordan. Jordan benefited from playing with Nate.
Now, speaking of professional soccer, the Broncos recently played the semi-professional team, the Minnesota Stars. We turn to Nick Strickland's video for more on this event.
Not many Hastings College graduates have gone on to become CEOs. Even fewer have acquired such a high-ranking position before their 30th birthday. One has, however, and he's using his position as an opportunity to give back to the college.
First name Jorn, last name Buholtz. Chief Executive Officer is my title.
Jorn, a Hastings native, was a player under Coach Cranks long before he ever envisioned running a professional soccer club.
Born and raised in Hastings, actually. Played soccer at Hastings High School, graduated there in '97. I actually went to the University of Nebraska for a year, and they didn't have a soccer program. And I decided, after talking to the staff here that was coaching Hastings College at the time, that it was the right thing for me to do.
After coming off back-to-back national championship game appearances, the Hastings College men's soccer team is looking to make another run at the title. So who better to train against than a pro team?
Yeah, we talked about it over lunch. And actually we probably talked about it a long time ago. I know we've always kind of said it would be kind of cool to bring, at the time it was the Minnesota Thunder. It was always kind of cool to maybe bring them in and play a game, but it just never kind of materialized.
But with the men's team gaining so much buzz over the past 2 seasons, Coach Cranks and Jorn saw an opportunity that they couldn't pass up.
We got together for lunch and we kind of discussed it for a little bit and then decided that, hey, this might be the year that we could get this done. Let's see if we can do it. So we put some wheels in motion and we contacted some community members and as well as our administration and they kind of sorted it out. So the two parties got together and within about a month we got the thing going and here we are.
Sure, it's something I've always wanted to do. I've got a great affinity towards this college program. I follow them every year. Love that they won a championship, runners-up last year. And I thought that now, with the team at the level it was and the attention they're starting to get, I thought it'd be a good opportunity. And speaking to Coach Cranks and working with other leaders in the community to help make this possible, we were able to pull it off. And the schedules aligned and the stars aligned, no pun intended, and here we are.
So, on Thursday, March 15th, Jorn flew in his team and the next day pitted his Minnesota Thunder against his former coach's squad in an exhibition match unlike the college has ever seen.
I'm actually really excited about the game. We were at Creighton a few years back, the Minnesota Thunder, and Hastings was there, and we watched them play Creighton, but we've never been pitted against Hastings College before, and with the success that this program has had, I think you're going to see a heck of a game tomorrow.
Although the Thunder defeated Hastings 2-1, the game was about much more than just the final score.
We want to come out and play the best that we can. During the spring, we want to be challenged. We don't want to go into a game knowing or thinking that we can win by 4 goals or 3 goals or something. We want to come into a game where we may not have the ball a lot. And against these guys, against Minnesota, we're not going to have the ball a lot.
Jorn attributes much of the success he has had in the corporate world to the schooling he received at Hastings College.
I think coming back and playing soccer really got me on the right track. allowed me to really focus on, not only playing the sport, but also on my academics. And, I walked out of Hastings College with a really great degree that got me to the place I'm at now. Hats off to Dr. Carol Meyer, because her classes were all about giving presentations. And that's what we did day in and day out. And I think that is one of the key moments that I look back on my college career, and for having that opportunity and having her guidance on how to get better and better at that. I think at the end of the day, is really what allowed me to really excel in my career.
This has been Nick Strickland for HCMedia.
Thanks, Nick. Guys, what were your thoughts on the game and the future of the program?
Well, Justice and Nico, I guess the first thing we need to take away from this is that Hastings College only lost that game 2-1 against a professional team. Returning senior, the only returning senior that was actually on that team was Cody Petit at goalie. Justice, they played pretty well having those holes in the team. How do we think they're going to do next year?
I see a lot of good things that the team did. There were some holes at defense that I think have been corrected. Shane Davidson and some other young guys were playing center back, and playing again alongside Brian Kudron, whose only center back partner for his entire collegiate career has been Derek Prinz. So there's a couple things to work out in the defense other than Kudron. Whole new guys have to be at the back. There's 4 new guys at defense. That's the main problem. And they'll have all of the GPAC season to really work out those kinks. I can't imagine giving up too many shots against teams like Concordia and stuff and Mount Marty.
And I think you make an excellent point there. When you looked at this last year, went undefeated through the GPAC season, there's really nobody that can challenge them within the conference, and that plays in their favor as far as having those holes in there. But who are the main people coming back that you're looking forward to watching this next year?
Obviously, MLS prospect Jordan Green is a huge one. I mean, he scored that amazing goal against the Stars, cutting through their defense and sliding in back post. And he had a chance for another one. He just let it go by him. Really unlucky that he wasn't able to get a foot on that ball. So, I mean, in reality, Jordan is our best player. Lucky that he did transfer in from Wesleyan when he did. I mean, he's really been a big asset, and his work with Nate Polak in midfield and net forward has really benefited both of them. The other key player I see coming back is Brian Kudron. Obviously, he needs to shore up that defense. He's had a foot injury, all healed up now, ready to get back at it. And him and Aaron Mulgrew down the middle, as well as defensive mid, those two have to be the rocks at defense and really have to kind of protect the goal. First games, always the first couple games of the season are difficult, especially against nationally ranked teams, so they're going to have to be ready then.
All right, the final question before we end this series, yes or no, does Hastings College at least contend for a national title once again?
I see them making the national tournament. How far they go in the national tournament, we really got to wait and see what the defense does. I mean, if you have a poor defense, we've watched teams with powerful offenses just go down in the tournament. I mean, you need to have a decent defense to make it to the national tournament game. And if the defense shows up next year, I can honestly see them winning a national title.
All right, Nico. Hope that worked for you.
Thanks, Justice. Thanks, Ross. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Hastings volleyball. Welcome back to Bronco Sports Chat. Well, guys, the upcoming volleyball season is approaching, and obviously there are a lot of things changing from last year to this year. Tell us about it.
All right, sure thing, Nico. And I think the big thing we need to talk about here is this is the 7th time in the past 5 years that Hastings College volleyball has a new coach in Matt Buttermore. Gage, I think one of the key things we need to pick out here is his wife, Laura, was a former player and trainer at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
I think that's absolutely crucial. The team itself is going to get into volleyball shape. Having that level of experience playing for a team that won a championship at the NCAA level, that's absolutely huge. And to have their training them is even bigger. They're going to be more physical. They're going to be more, they'll have more endurance. I think that's just going to be huge.
I think bringing like a national title mindset to the program is definitely key. Now, Gage, they only lost 1 player this last year. How key is that to any team?
Well, I mean, it's big because you're going to retain a lot of your team chemistry and build from that. And I think anytime you can do that, for most cases, it's only going to bring positive results. It'll be interesting to see just how much they can capitalize from having that opportunity.
All right, and that is Bronco volleyball.
All right, thanks, guys. We just took a look at volleyball. When we come back, we'll take a look at Broncos football. Stay tuned to Bronco Sports Chat.
And welcome back to Bronco Sports Chat. We're going to move on to the football segment of our show right now. The Hastings College football team finished the year 6-4 and 5-4 in the conference this last season under first-year head coach Tony Harper and won all of their home games. And now we're going to move to our play-by-play and color commentators for football, Colton Spearman and Nico Zarowski. Guys, what are your thoughts on the team's performance this last season?
Well, the last season, especially with first-year head coach Tony Harper, I think the team actually played pretty well. 5-0 at home, defended the house, which is really nice. Granted, they weren't as rough and tough on the road as they only went 1-4. But overall, for a first-year head coach and a first-year quarterback, I feel like they did pretty good. Finished the season 6-4, so not playoff worthy, but they're getting there. I think they're going nowhere but up.
I would tend to agree with that, Colton. I think the most important thing you have to keep in mind is, like you said, the 5-0 record. What that's going to do for them is if they can improve their road record just a little bit and stay as strong as they are at home, that's going to make them that much better of a team, improve their chances of getting into the playoffs and then doing well in the playoffs. And that's what the Broncos need to do. I think the biggest thing for them, part of it was just playing under a new first-year head coach. And even though I was a little overly critical of head coach Tony Harper on the air, I think he's a great coach and a great guy, and I think he's going to make the team even better going into next year.
Keeping that in mind, also a big thing that we can't forget is Dalton Seeley, one of the big running backs, injured himself in the first game, and he wasn't able to play the rest of the game. And that was huge because they had a big power threat in Dalton Seeley, but then had a speed aspect of Keenan Balaj. That being said, looking at next year, coming into this spring, they're going to have a lot of depth, the Broncos will, at running back with Balaj back and Keenan. But there are going to be some problems here too, as you always have problems. One of the big ones, Nico, is going to be the linebacker core. Most of the linebackers, almost all of them were seniors, and they're all graduating, so that's going to be a big issue, as well as the wide receivers. Those are some wide receivers, linebackers are going to be big concerns.
That's right. I think they'll be able to make up for it, though. They've got a lot of people that are returning and getting better. John Dossel started last year as a junior quarterback, first time playing at the varsity level consistently, had a little bit of issues with his accuracy, but he was one of the strongest quarterbacks in the league in terms of overall ability to just throw the ball forward. I think he works on that accuracy, and I think having another year under him and a full offseason practice in under the new head coach, I think he's going to be that much better, and as a senior, I think he's going to want it that much more. I think that alone and the return of Dalton Seeley is going to propel the Broncos far better than they were last year, even with the exiting seniors.
Also, one of the big things is that they also have a very young offensive line.
Indeed.
And that's going to be key because everyone knows that an offensive line has to work together as a collective group. So you have a young offensive line that works with each other for a long time. That's gonna definitely improve your running game a lot, running and passing. And they're going to help get that extra push there for Keenan Balaj and Dalton Seeley as well.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. And let's not forget that the Broncos spring game is on Saturday, April 29th at 9 a.m., so go out and support your Broncos. And that's it for our football segment. We're going to take a quick break, and coming back, we're going to talk a little women's soccer.
Welcome back to Bronco Sports Chat. The women's soccer team is coming off an undefeated season within the GPAC last year. However, this upcoming year, they're losing several players. Justice, who are some of the key players the Broncos are losing?
Obviously, losing leading scorer Jessica Carlson is a huge problem. She led the GPAC in shots, led the Broncos in goals. That's a big issue to lose. You also lose possibly Esmeralda Lacayo, Megan Maruka in the midfield, another senior who was a leader in the midfield for those younger girls such as Jen Lerner and Maddie Mikhailuk. You also lose Becca Glisson, who's been one of the starters since she was her freshman year, and she's really shored up that defense. Last year making a couple key penalty kicks to advance the team further into the national round on their way to the national runner-up. This past season, Tanea Housen stepped in the goal after backing up Kreifels for so long, and she did a pretty good job. Had some problems with not being able to hang on to the ball, but she rectified those pretty well as the year went on. A little slip up here and there, but nothing major. So now the Broncos have to find a new center back, a new goalkeeper, a new center midfielder, and 2 new scorers. That's 5 big positions that have to be filled, and for a team that relies on scoring as much as it does and as much as it relies on its defense, their midfield should be pretty sound, but the 4 positions of striker, center mid, center back, and goalie are going to be huge losses for this team.
Yeah, Justice hit it right on the nail there. Like you mentioned, Tanea Housen did step in well as the first-year starting goalkeeper, and losing both a sweeper and a goalkeeper in the same season is going to be tough. Having to replace this leadership that those 2 positions carry just naturally is going to be huge. So definitely defensively, I see Hastings College taking a step down in that aspect.
Now, guys, tell us about some successes the program has had in the last couple of years.
Well, first off, 2 straight national appearances is huge for a program. was it 2 years in a row that they've gone completely swept the GPAC?
Yep, 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row with
undefeated.
undefeated. So I mean, anytime you can do that in a college sport where you're losing seniors constantly, that's going to be that's a big accomplishment.
And even for, going back a couple of years before that, my freshman year here, they did not make the national tournament, and some steps had to be made. They had a couple seniors that left the team, and really stepped up my sophomore year, 2 seasons ago, and made it all the way to that national championship game. And obviously, it took some luck to get there, but luck plays a part in every national tournament role. I mean, Kentucky had great skill, but it took a little bit of luck to get that national title that they recently got. So obviously that always plays a huge part. And then this last season, again, making it to the national tournament with that same core group of girls. Problem is that didn't make it as far as they want. They got a really tough draw with the Azusa Pacific. And then, you've got to make something happen in the national tournament when you make it to that second round, and they were just unlucky enough to not get there. And so hopefully looking forward to this next year, possible another national tournament berth.
One more question, though. Looking forward, what do you see for the future of this Hastings College women's soccer program?
Justice, you want to go first on that?
I'll take this one. GPAC's not a really strong soccer conference, usually in men or women's. So Hastings both programs have an advantage there, and the women's this year will be able to take advantage of that, get some younger players some playing time. I mean, we talked last year, Ted was constantly subbing in younger players, and we questioned it a little bit in some important games, but I really think now that move's going to pay off, because those girls got experience in games that they won, be able to come in, step in, and just replace those seniors, hopefully. Might not be the smoothest transition. They might not go undefeated in the GPAC like we've seen them do before, but I don't really see them losing that GPAC title to anyone in the conference.
Kind of going off that, I feel like the preseason is always tough for the Bronco soccer teams, both sides. So definitely the record won't show like it has the last couple years with that preseason, that tough preseason schedule. But definitely that will shape kind of how they go into GPAC. If they're getting frustrated, then you may see them struggle a little bit in the beginnings of the GPAC. But I feel like they won't go undefeated with that regular season GPAC. But yeah, I don't see them losing it.
Thanks, guys. That does it, covering each major portion of the sports. We're going to go to a break. Coming up, we're going to relax and take it around the cooler. Welcome back. As you can see, the set's a little bit different now. This is a segment we like to call Around the Cooler. Everyone gets 30 seconds to talk and say whatever they want to say about Hastings College sports. Andy, why don't you start us off?
I just like to kind of talk about the football team a little bit. This will be Tony Harper's second year being the full-time head coach. Hopefully the season goes a little better than they did. They had times where they looked really good and times where they're a little rusty. So hopefully in Tony Harper's second year, he is able to do better and hopefully contend for a GPAC title.
Andy, I think you made a lot of good points there, but my shout out is going to go to the volleyball team, to Matt Buttermore and his wife, Laura. When he brought her in with him, she played at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. She played with a national title team there, and I think bringing her with him, I mean, obviously it's his wife, but still the fact is she brings a title mentality and she's working with the team, helping them train. So I think that's key for the volleyball team, because there weren't a whole lot of things that they were missing this last year. I was at a lot of the games, especially the Pink Night game, where we saw them put together some pretty complete games, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can do that this next year.
My shout out's going to go out to all the senior soccer players graduating this year. Thank you for several years of memories that you guys have given the college, a national championship and 2 national runner-ups. You guys deserve all the credit that you've been given, and good luck in your futures.
First, shout out to Tony Harper. While I was openly critical of him on the air, I had a chance to interview him after the season. He wasn't negative about it. Instead, he just said he looked to get better every year, and I think he's a great coach. Second shout out goes to Dalton Seeley. We're looking forward to your return, Dalton. We think you're going to do great things for the program next year. And that's it for Around the Cooler. For more, go to hcsports.wordpress.com. Thanks to Ross Struess, Andy Butler, and Justice Stoles. Also thanks to Colton Spearman and Gage Axford. That's it for tonight's episode of Bronco Sports Chat.